topic. So I will just uh, start. Yeah. So as the topic is already Veena told us, but let me just quickly go over it. So in this workshop today, we will tackle automated SAP Fiori apps testing with continuous delivery. And we have four more colleagues with us. Yeah, so they will also answer your questions in case you have, or issues if you have, they will answer you and tackle that also during the call. Okay, yeah, so our agenda, let me just briefly go over the agenda. And our agenda for today is short introduction on benefits of test automation and exploring the SAP Fiori test pyramid. And then you will learn about the system and scenario testing tool Ui5 and how to integrate those tests in continuous delivery pipeline. And then we come to the major part of this workshop, that is an exercise where you first write Ui5 tests using Ui5 Test Recorder. And in the second part of our exercise, you will integrate those tests in the continuous delivery pipeline by using Project Piper. Okay, yeah, so before we really tackle down the tool, let me just cover a few basics. So the question here is, why do we need automated UI testing at all? Yeah, so traditionally, we relied more on manual testing back then when software projects would span years and freeze requirements for months. But it doesn't scale well enough, with modern software practice. And today, as we all know, companies deliver to market in months, weeks, or even days. So we need some comprehensive soup to nuts test automation. Yeah. And with that, with a good set of automated UI tests, you can really save time by automating frequent regression cycles and test cases that are repetitive or require tedious input of test data. Yeah, reduce cost and maintenance by setting up test automation framework that takes advantage of reuse and modularity, so that changes can be done once and propagated throughout. Yeah. Moving forward, so it also helps to increase test coverage. So, manual testing put limits on how many tests you can verify, whereas automation allows you to spend time writing new tests and adding them to your automated test suite. Yeah, so this increases the test coverage for your product, so more features are properly tested, resulting in a higher quality application. Then increase ad hoc and exploratory testing. So with the resources freed up by automated software testing tools, yeah, now the developers or testers can spend more time to find more critical defects, by using human brain and skills and creativity in the right place at the right time. And with that, as we all know, feedback is very important. So it helps to get faster feedback. Yeah, basically it helps you reduce the feedback cycle time and bring faster validation for phases in the development of your product. Yeah, and of course, the manual recurring efforts are reduced since everything is automated now. Yeah, with all such benefits, it helps you to detect defects much earlier with lower cost to fix them. Yeah, and this all leads to an increased development efficiency and ensures that deliveries are free of regressions. And last but not the least, the test tool takes care of the reporting. So that was the basics of but that were the basics of benefits of test automation. Now on this slide, I want to give you a short overview about the test pyramid that is used in SAP UI5 stack. Yeah, so this pyramid is basically a concept to how to find the right balance between the different kind of automated test. And the key message of this concept is that tests on the lower layers are cheaper to write and maintain, and they run faster as on the upper layers. Yeah, yeah. But nevertheless, we also need the tests on the middle layers to cover the integration of different components of your application. Yeah. Further, we need on top of the pyramid tests that exercise the whole system, including the backend. And here I'm talking about the system test. And also in this workshop today, we would cover Ui5 testing framework, which is a Node.js module that allows you to test your application as a real user would do. These are also called end-to-end testing, where we first where we first test the entire software from beginning to end to ensure that application behaves as expected. Yeah, so now here I would um, talk about this shift left quality model. So now in the previous slide, as you have seen, that there are various layers of test automation, and also there are various tools on each layer. Yeah, but how do we get fast, reliable, and frequent feedback about the quality in our development process? So the answer is shift left. So basically, shift left is a practice intended to improve quality by moving tasks to the left as early in the life cycle as possible. Yeah, the, the idea is that developers need to focus on quality right from the beginning instead of waiting for errors and bugs to be discovered late in the software development life cycle. Yeah, so this was briefly about the shift left, call it shift left method. Now, so if you follow this shift left methodology, yeah, activities like testing becomes more relevant and much earlier and more often to reduce the defects. Yeah, moreover, this approach helps you or enables constant feedback for developers to fix bugs before being released to the production. Yeah, and to continuously deliver in a consistent and reliable way, a team must break down the software delivery process into delivery stages like commit, integration, acceptance, and production. And as you move, so each successive stage becomes more production-like in its testing and provides more confidence in the code as it progresses through the pipeline. Yeah, and having automated tests make it possible to execute them as a part of the automated delivery pipeline, and this dramatically increases the speed and the overall quality of the delivery as a complete regression test suite can be executed on every change. Yeah, so this enables detection and fixing of issues much earlier, when the cost of those issues is still small. Okay, so this was about the pipeline. You will also get more information in our further slides. Yeah, so now that we have covered the basics of test automation, let us talk about the testing framework that is the highlight of this workshop, which is known as Ui5. Yeah, so what is Ui5? So basically, it's a system and scenario testing tool, testing framework for Ui5 based applications. And using Selenium WebDriver, we are able to automate a real browser and interact with the application as a real user would do. Yeah, so Ui5 is heavily inspired by Protector. You might have heard about this term. Yeah, so Protector is an end-to-end testing tool for Angular applications, and it has introduced some excellent ideas for creating good system and scenario tests. And we adopted most of those ideas and added some more to provide a framework specially intended for testing Ui5 applications. Yeah, Yeah, so here I will talk about this UI verify positioning. So your UI verify automates real browser and interacts with the application as a real user would do, that I mentioned already. Yeah, here the focus is really on the integration, how the pieces work together, and not so much about the detail that you have already covered in the lower layers in your unit with your unit and integration test, as you have already seen in the pyramid. Yeah, so with UI Verify, we test the whole system together, including the front end and the back end. Yeah, so the only thing is that it requires a deployed application. So that is the prerequisite for using this tool. Okay, so now a little bit about the architect. So UI Verify is a Node.js program and uses the Selenium JavaScript binding to start the browser. Yeah, now that browser can be a local desktop browser or a headless browser, even a mobile browser, or you can also borrow a browser from this or from the cloud provider like Sauce Labs, Browser Stack, etc. Yeah, so basically it loads the real application, so we could execute nearly all possible scenarios of interaction between the user and the web application. That's the motive. Yeah. Now, it comes to the real and challenging part, which is writing effective automated end-to-end tests. And here one tool that comes in handy is known as Ui5 Test Recorder. So the Ui5 Test Recorder is part of the Ui5 distribution. That means you don't have to install anything additionally. Yeah, so to launch the recorder, you just have to press some key combinations. So for example, in Windows, you have to press Alt Control Shift plus T, whereas in Mac, it's a different key combination. So Shift Control Option plus T. Yeah, but don't worry, you will learn about this tool also during the exercise. Yeah, so with that, I hand over to Risto. Risto, you can
Thank you,
share
Sagari.
your screen if you want. Yeah.
Yes, I will share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, I'm trying to share. And hopefully you will see my screen. Can you see it?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's see some details about Ui5. Here, the major advantage is the reliability of the tests. This is achieved by the included automatic synchronization with Ui5 rendering. This means that every interactions and assertions will be executed only when the Ui5 page is fully rendered. This detection when a page is fully loaded and rendered is not trivial, but is possible due to the tight integration with SAP Ui5 Core. As there are no explicit waits, the tests are working as fast as the application can. So one typically Ui5 test looks like this screenshot. For an end user, the test code looks absolutely synchronous, and it is easy for reading and writing, so there is no need to be experienced JavaScript developer. It uses Jasmine syntax, which is widely used and known, and improves it with behavior-driven statements like when, which contains the actions, and then contains the assertions. So there is also support for a page object design pattern in Ui5. It helps to structure your actions and assertions of significant part of your application. As you can see on this slide and screenshot, we use declarative control locators. Their biggest advantage is that in contrast to DOM-based locators like XPath or CSS, they are they know about the hierarchical composition of the Ui5 controls. This is the reason because of that they are much more stable in case of Ui5 styling changes, meaning also a modified DOM rendering. The control locator object can be written easily using test recorder, or can be written manually with inspecting the application using Ui5 inspector. In system tests, we usually test applications that are deployed on a test system, so we need to pass user credentials to a login page. For most common login pages, Ui5 already provides default authentication configurations like SAP Fiori Launchpad, SAP Identity Management, or you can also define configuration for your custom login page. So here we came to the first exercise of our hands-on session. In this exercise, you will write system tests for the Bookshop application. It has included cap server configuration and runs on localhost, so no authentication will be required in this exercise. The Bookshop application provides possibility for managing books, like adding new book, adding some information about it, editing and deleting already existing books. Now it's time to write UI5 tests, and the scenario is to create a new book, to type its title, to select genre and author from the drop-down menus, and click Save button. At the end, you have to verify that the Edit button will be displayed. So here, due to the time limitation of this session, we already prepared the basic structure of UI5 tests on a GitHub repository. So you can find all the details as a step-by-step description in the exercise guide. And now let's start with the first exercise. You have around 1 hour and let's say 10 to 20 minutes for this exercise. Then we will meet again to introduce the second exercise. The exercise guide and the GitHub projects are available even after the hands-on session, so you can continue if you don't have enough time to complete it now. And if you have any questions during the exercise, just write in the chat and me or one of my colleagues will help you to continue. So let's start with the exercise.
Okay, for all attendees, just a note here, I know there's a lot of silence. So if you have any questions about the presentation, feel free to type it in the chat, raise your hand, and we can get to them now instead of waiting for the end of the session. Okay, Johan Grosbeek, I see that you raised your hand. I've given you the ability to unmute yourself if you'd like to ask your question.
Sorry for interrupting. I just want to mention that for the second exercise, we plan to do a demo for the Jenkins and CI/CD setup. So you don't need to install Docker for, for now. And of course, you can do it by your own after the workshop.
For all attendees, if anybody would like to go off mute and ask any questions and interact with our speakers and presenters, please go ahead and raise your hand, and then I will give you the permissions in order to get your question out there to the group.
Okay, so to all attendees, maybe you're already, I mean, going good with this tutorial, but I can just share my screen now to just walk through the tutorial so that you are all following the same things. And yeah, in case of issues, just raise your voice or ask us questions via chat. We are here to support you. Yeah. I hope you can all see my screen.
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
can.
can see.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, so this is the tutorial. So you all have access to it. So basically here, we start with the prerequisites. If you have not done it before, you can do it now, but with a minimum installation, like, installing the Node and Visual Studio Code and UI like mentioned here. And this npm install SAP SDS, this CDS development kit. And then you don't have to install, for example, Docker right now, since Risto will do a demo for it. He will show you how that works, the later part of this tutorial. But you can, of course, install it later for your own practice if you want, really want to complete this tutorial. And yeah, and as already mentioned in this tutorial, you will first set up your project and get to know the test scenario, and then you create the system tests using Ui5, and then using Project Piper, you will create a CI/CD pipeline. Yes, so this is the first step. So here you first set up and run your CAP-based sample application. This is cloud application programming based application. And for that, everything is prepared. You just have to clone this URL as mentioned here, this repository URL. Yeah, rest all steps are mentioned here also with the screenshots so that you don't face any issues. In case of anything, you can also refer to the screenshots. Yeah, so after you complete this setup, first step, then you move to the second one. So after you set up this application, you will start your local server and you will see this Bookshop application. Yeah, and here the second step is a walk through the test scenario. Here we have mentioned all the steps that you have to follow. Later on, you will automate those scenarios, all the steps here. Yeah, so the first step is you first create this bookshop, book, like clicking on this create button. After you click on this create button, you enter the title of the book, and then you select the owner and author from the drop down menus, as you have maybe you have already seen. Yeah, so these are all the steps. And then basically we create a Ui5 script for adding a new book. For that also, we have all the steps mentioned here. Yeah, so you can just go step by step to create the Ui5 test. Okay, so these are, yeah, so this is basically step 3. You create a Ui5 script for adding a new book. Yeah, and in the step 4, you create a Ui5 script for adding detailed information to your book. So yeah. Here also, as mentioned, we have all the screenshots to assist you while you write your Ui5 scripts. And yeah, and then for the last part, yeah, all the Jenkins and Docker stuff. So Risto will already will show you via demo how that works. Okay. Yeah, so this was the tutorial. Maybe I come up again to show you some Ui5 test recorder, but I'll take a break for some time so that you can really start, and I can also in between you can ask questions anytime. Yeah, so this quick hands-on so that you can follow everything here. Yeah, just let us know if you face any issues. Hi once again. So here, probably you have already opened this Bookshop application, as you can already see in the screen. Yeah, just give me a hand raise if you can see the screen, one of the panelists maybe.
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, great. So here I just would like to show you the Ui5 test recorder that would help you to, locate the generators for the locators for this UI, for creating Ui5 scripts. So maybe I can quickly show it. Hopefully you have already opened this local Bookshop application. Yeah, and in order to open this UI5 test recorder, as I have already shown also during the slides, so you have to press the four key combination, Alt, Control, Shift, T. Yeah, and as you can see, the test recorder opens up. So you can dock it in the bottom. Yeah. And here, the most important step is that you have to select the dialect, the right one. So right now we are writing UI script. So you have to select this one, UI. And now, for example, if you want to locate one of the elements here, let's say as a first step, you have to locate this create. So you just have to press right click, and then here you want to press that button. You want to do an action like pressing on this button. So here you have to select the right action, that is press. And now, as you can see, this automatic generation worked, and this locator is now here, and you just now simply can copy and paste in your Visual Studio script code as already explained in the tutorial. Yeah, so this is a press action. Next, for example, if you click on create, and now you want to, enter some title here. So here you have to use another action, that is enter text. Now you can just simple copy paste this also, and instead of send keys, you can use any text you want. So for example, in our tutorial, it's how to cook pancakes, but you can name it however you like. Yeah, and similarly, if you want to do an assertion or some verification at the end, for example, if you created a book and now you want to see the title, so you can just right click and say highlight. So that will also generate the locator of this element, and this is how UI5 test recorder works. Hope you're not having many issues. If you have, just let us know. If you have problem with installation or UI5 recorder is not opening or anything, just let us know. We are here to support you.
Hi again. Just want to mention that the introduction to the second exercise and the demo will start in 15 minutes.
And again, for all attendees, if you have any questions that you want to raise live, please feel free to raise your hand and we'll give you access to the microphone, or type in the chat with any questions that you have. We want to make sure that we're taking full advantage of our presenters today while we have them live. Okay, Renat, I have unmuted you, so feel free to ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Hello, good evening. Well, I have a problem with actually starting the Fiori application. So I've just, I had some troubles before, but I'm just trying to do CDS watch, but it doesn't do anything except for giving me errors.
Okay, but what kind of errors? Can you, Vina, is it also possible to share the screen here?
Yes, let me give him access.
Thank you.
Okay, Renat, you are now a panelist, so you should be able to share your screen. Let us know if you cannot.
Yeah, okay, I can. Um, it says me host disabled participants screen sharing.
Okay, I am temporarily making you a co-host, so you should be able to share your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sharing it, I guess. So.
Yes, we can see it.
Yep. So this is the error I'm facing.
I think I know the reason. So let me quickly paste something in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also in the troubleshooting on the GitHub repository, and where it's step number 6. Can you go to File, Preferences, Settings in Visual Studio Code, and then search for Terminal Integrated Shell Arcs?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
Studio Code.
Yeah, okay.
And then to File, Preferences, Settings in the menu.
The file in the menu, yes.
On the left,
Okay,
yeah.
here, file.
Then Preferences.
Down.
Bit down, yeah, here, and Settings. And then search for Terminal. And now Integrated Shell, maybe terminal dot, integrated dot.
Over
in
here?
the search, in the search.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Integrated.
Oh, no, sorry. So.
Dot shell arcs. Arcs.
Dot R. Oh, no, it's fine. No, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
And now, yeah, edit in settings.json.
This one?
Yeah, if you click on this edit in settings.json. And here you could now paste what we have in the chat. So in square brackets with execution policy and then bypass. So it's in the chat.
Yeah, okay. Oh, no. Didn't copy it. So everything in the brackets, or?
So including the square brackets.
Yeah, okay.
So in line 9 and then around the quotes, the square brackets, and then minus execution policy. If you cannot copy it from the chat, then maybe directly from the page in the GitHub, I just pasted the link again.
Yep,
Troubleshooting and then the step 6.
Okay, thanks. I will try.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And maybe you have to restart the terminal then again.
Okay.
Get applied.
Good tip. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Renat, I'm taking back your co-host permission.
Yeah, maybe we can also go quickly what you achieved now or what you later on achieve. So as Christo mentioned, you can also later on access the exercise. And if you face issues, you can also create an issue in GitHub, and we can reply to that. Can you see my screen already with Visual Studio Code?
Not yet.
We cannot
I have
yet.
to click on share, sorry.
However, we have two more hands raised. Do you want to answer or do you want to go through this?
Yeah, we can first go to the questions.
Okay, perfect. So Dennis Galland, I've unmuted you or given you the permissions. You need to unmute yourself in order to ask the question. Okay. Jermaine, I've also given you permission. So whoever wants to go first with their question, go ahead.
I was busy with the steps and I was getting some errors with the assertions of the book list contains. I've just made it just like in the step, but I'm just getting a failed assertion. I don't know.
Failed assertion.
I'm sorry?
So what error are you getting? Or can you repeat again?
Yeah, when I run the spec, I'm getting failed JavaScript error, Ui5 dependencies are not loading, blah, blah, blah. And it stops by the book list contains, and it is about, where is it? Invalid child property to be truthy.
Would you like to share your screen?
Yep, no props.
Okay, I'm giving you permissions, 1 second. Okay, Jermaine, you should be able to share your screen now.
Yeah, I think the reason is here that it somehow imported the try library that we don't need here. So if you scroll up in the file, usually there is a reference to the try, either in this page object or maybe also in the new book page or in the spec file. Maybe
so one of the file.
If somewhere there is a dependency to try. No. Here, yes. Remove the first line. We don't need that. And now try to run it again. Yeah, so now it passed. And you can also access the results in the screenshot report in the target folder. So just right click and then reveal in File Explorer.
So open containing folder in this case.
Yeah, okay. And then double click on the report HTML file. So now you can see the toIt statement. So create a new book and should check that the book is added and all the different steps, including a screenshot. And in case of an error, you would also see the stack trace, what went wrong.
Okay, if we don't have other questions now, I propose to continue.
We have one more question. If we would like to let Dennis go, after that, we can then move into the demo. I think that'll be perfect timing for that. So Dennis, I am making you a co-host as well so that you can share your screen.
Dennis said that his microphone is not working in the
okay.
QA section.
Okay, so I've made you a co-host. So Dennis, maybe share your screen and potentially chat your question if it's easy to do that into the chat room. Oh, okay, he's already got the answer. So Risto, you can go ahead and move forward with the demo. We don't have any other questions. Thank you everyone for submitting them and talking live with us.
Thank you very much. Okay, I will share my screen and please give me a sign when you can see it so I can start.
We can see it.
Thank you. So I hope you have a good time with the first exercise, and now we will continue with the second one, which is for integration into a continuous delivery pipeline. And now we come back to a slide that we have already seen in the introductory part. In a delivery pipeline, every change is effectively a release candidate. The job of a delivery pipeline is to catch issues as soon as possible. If you can detect any issues, you should feel totally comfortable releasing any package that have gone through the pipeline. With regards to the presented UI automation tools, we could build a sample delivery pipeline which contains our Ui5 tests in the acceptance stage of the pipeline. If all tests are green, we would proceed with the next stages. For example, they could be security tests or performance tests or whatever else. And then finally, we can deploy our application on a productive system. On this slide, you can see the basic components that we will use in the upcoming exercise. First, we have Jenkins. Jenkins is a free and open source automation server. It helps to automate the non-human part of the software development process with continuous integration and facilitating the technical aspects of continuous delivery. For example, if your team is developing a project, Jenkins will continuously test your project builds and show you the errors in the early stages of your development. Jenkins supports the complete development lifecycle of software development, from building, testing, documenting the software, deploying it to a server, as well as other stages of a software development lifecycle. Then we have SAP Project Piper. It helps you to get your software changes out into the cloud in a quick and reliable manner. Pipelines using Project Piper can be built in various flavors. Their structure is composed of stages which represent meaningful units of work, for example, performing the application build. Stages comprise a number of individual steps which perform steps toward to the stage goal. The SAP project pipe or library offers you a full flexibility by providing a set of general purpose steps. It is based on the Jenkins shared library concept and contains steps, utilities, and Docker images used to implement best practices. So we reach the final exercise. And here the idea is to create a Jenkins pipeline by using the SAP project piper. So because this exercise seems to be to require some experience with Docker, fully functional and properly configured Docker installation on your local host, and we decided here to make a demo of it, how it can be implemented, how it can be configured to execute the test from the previous exercise. You can find the tutorial, the step-by-step tutorial after the session, and you can do it by your own. And now let's start with the steps. So this is step 5, when, let me just zoom a bit, when you have to start your local Jenkins on your local host. So there is described how to do this for Linux and Mac users, and also there are several different steps for Windows users. So additional settings can be should be executed. So as I'm working on Mac, I already executed this command, which will downloads several images, Docker images, and several files on my local file system. And I can show you, after executing this first command, I have here in this folder, I have several files. And I will execute this CX server like it's stated in the second step. So I already executed because it took some time, and I already have my Jenkins running. But the command is just CX server start, press enter, and it will run. So let me show you the result of this command is here. Downloading several images, executing them, and the final is this CX server is already running, and some warning messages for the initial credentials. Then when we have CX server started, we just open localhost on our in our browser, and the Jenkins is loaded. Then we have to generate the credentials with this command, CX server initial credentials. It generates one password which we can use to log in to the Jenkins. And I already logged, so to save some time and continue with the next steps. This is for Windows. I will scroll down, and step 6. Here we have to create new pipeline, to configure it, and to execute the test from the previous application. So the first thing is to create this new item, then paste some name, for example, Ui5 demo. Then select the type of the project to be pipeline and click on this OK button. So the pipeline is created, the job is created, and we can just scroll to the pipeline section. Let me just zoom. And here in this pipeline section, we have to configure our pipeline script. We will switch to definition to be pipeline script from SCM. For SCM, I will select Git and then go to the Git repository. Here I can take from this code and here copy the link to the GitHub repository. Go back to Jenkins and here just paste this URL. Here I will change the branch because we have prepared one Jenkins exercise branch which have already implemented Ui5 tests, and click on Save button. Then the pipeline is configured and ready to be executed. Just click on this Build Now button, and here in Build History, we see that the pipeline is started. I can open this build number 1, click on console output, and we can see what is happening. First, we can see here that the repository is downloaded from GitHub. The Jenkins file is loaded and started to execute. During this execution, I want to show you the Jenkins file. You can find it in the root of the repository in this Jenkins file. And here we predefined the steps to execute Ui5 tests using SAP Project Piper. First, you can see we are taking care to delete everything old from the workspace. Then we will clone the GitHub repository. And here is the Piper step for executing Ui5 tests. So we added here some preparations, for example, installing CDS, and executing npm installs, everything you already done in the previous exercise, which is required to start the CDS server with the Bookshop application. Then start the CDS server and execute the tests. Here also we have some configuration for publishing the HTML report with the screenshots, which will be published to the build in the Jenkins and can be easily accessible. I can show you after the test execution. Let's go back to the Jenkins console, and here we can see that the tests are just started. It is opening the Bookshop application in the browser, which is the browser is started in separate Docker container, which is started by the Piper steps, waiting for application to load, and screenshots are created here. Just wait several seconds and we will have the final result. We have everything passed. I can see here everything passed. The job is successful. So let's go back to this build and see what we have here. The status is green, as we saw, and here we have Ui5 Test Report. This is the published HTML report. Click on this and we can see the screenshots which were taken during the test execution. If we have some failures, we can easily find what happened, and we can see on the screenshot what was the state of the application when this error appears. And I think this is pretty much for this demo. You can try it by your own by following the steps in the tutorial. Okay, it seems we have some time. If you have any questions, you can ask now. Or if you choose to execute the exercise later, you can always file an issue on the GitHub repo here. Okay. Thanks for your attention, and I will stop sharing and maybe hand over to Sagari for some final words.
Yeah, thank you, Risto. Thank you for the demo. Yeah, so I hope that demo was helpful for you. And also, as Risto already mentioned, that you have access to all the tutorial, to the repository, or to the application, and also the tests. So you can follow it also after this session. If you would like to finish the exercises, that would be much appreciated. And I know that that will be helpful also. Yeah, in case you want to get more insights about Ui5 and Project Piper. So here, as you can see, we have listed some important links. In case you want some more information, you can go over it. Yeah. Okay, and here, as you can see, already there is a lot of information. And yeah, so here in this slide, you can find more details about the learning offerings also during and also after this TechEd event. And yeah, and here some final words. So I hope you had fun doing the exercises, and thanks a lot for attending our session. We really appreciate your time, and we hope that you could learn some new and interesting stuff about test automation of SAP UI5 applications and how to get fast feedback in a continuous delivery pipeline. Yeah, so in case of queries or feedback, you can check the documentation, the links that we have provided, or create an issue in this GitHub repository. Yeah, we will also answer there in case you have issues. Also, in case of Ui5 issues, there is also a Stack Overflow or other channels where you can ask questions and you will be answered. Okay. Thank you again. With that, I hand over to Veena.
Okay, thank you very much, Sagari, and thank you everybody that was joining us as a host or as an attendee. That was a delightful session. It's really nice to see the interaction there and have experts live whenever you're going through these types of exercises and learning about these things. I'm just going to leave you with a few resources that are specific for the SAP community. You know, if you're not already a member, go ahead and join us. I'm going to post the links to follow the topic page on SAP Fiori, as well as the tags for SAP TechEd and SAP Fiori in the app, or sorry, in the chat room. If you guys should have any questions, as Sagari mentioned, you can ask them within the GitHub repository, but you can also, any comments on the session or any feedback, any other questions, you can also put them to the community as well to get answered. And with that, I'm going to wish you guys a good morning, good evening, good afternoon from wherever you're dialing in from. And I hope you have a great rest of the week.